Right now, in this very moment, you are standing at the edge of something greater than you've ever known, something massive, but you can't see it. Not because it's not there, but because your thoughts have become a wall between where you are and where you're meant to be. You think it's your past. You think it's your circumstances. You think it's your background, your age, your bank account. But I'm here to tell you the truth. It's none of that. The only thing holding you back is the way you're thinking right now. The only limit is the one in your mind. This isn't motivational fluff. This is neuroscience. This is life experience. This is truth. And if you stay with me for the next few minutes, fully present, fully open, this message can be the catalyst that breaks the ceiling over your life forever. So I want to ask you, are you willing to question everything you've believed about what's possible for you? Are you ready to tear down the mental barriers and walk into the life you were born to live? Then listen closely, because what comes next might just be the moment everything changes. Let me tell you something most people never realize. Your mind is the gatekeeper of your reality. Not your boss, not your parents, not your bank account, not your past. You. Your thoughts are the filter that every opportunity, every challenge, every interaction passes through. And if that filter is clogged with fear, doubt, old stories, and limitations, then even the most powerful moment of your life could walk right past you, and you wouldn't even notice it. We've been conditioned to believe that the outside world determines what we can do. We wait for permission. We wait for signs. We wait for certainty. But life doesn't work like that. You don't get certainty first. You don't get permission first. If you get results after you decide to stop waiting, you get results when you stop letting your mind talk you out of your potential. Because every time you say, I can't, or it won't work, or it's too late for me, what you're really saying is, I've decided not to try. Not consciously, but deep down, your mind has drawn a line in the sand and you believed it. You made that thought the law. You gave it authority. And the scary part, you didn't even question it. You didn't ask, who told me this? You didn't ask, is this even true? You just accepted it. And that acceptance, that's what's stealing your future. See, your thoughts are powerful, not because they're always right, but because you act on them. You follow them. You build your habits, your choices, your relationships, your identity on top of them. And that's amazing when your thoughts are empowering. But when they're built on fear, on shame, on someone else's opinion, that's a cage. And the worst part, most people live their whole life inside that mental cage thinking it's the world, thinking it's reality. But it's not. It's just a lens, a filter they forgot they were wearing. And the moment you take it off, the moment you start questioning those old thoughts, interrupting those limiting beliefs, that's the moment everything begins to open up. Because here's the truth. Reality is not fixed. Your potential is not capped. There are no walls around your future unless you build them in your mind. And the second you decide to take responsibility for your thinking instead of reacting to it, you get your power back. You realize that the door to your next level was never locked. It was just hidden behind everything you told yourself about why you couldn't walk through it. So the question isn't, can I do more? The question is, will I challenge the thoughts that say, I can't? Because the life you want is already out there. It's waiting. But it won't come to the person who hesitates. It will come to the person who decides right now to become more than the story they've been living in. And that decision starts in your mind. Let's go even deeper. You want to know what's really holding you back? It's not failure. It's not fear. It's not rejection. It's the beliefs you picked up along the way and never questioned. Most people don't realize this. Beliefs are nothing more than thoughts you've repeated enough times that they became your truth. That's it. They're not facts. They're not universal laws. They're just patterns, mental loops you got stuck in. You were born with limitless potential. No baby comes into the world thinking they're not enough. No child says, I'm not smart, or I can't be loved, or I'm too broken to succeed. That stuff gets installed. Somewhere along the way, you started hearing things like, you're not good at that. People like us don't do things like that. Or be realistic. And over time, without even realizing it, you started to believe it. You started to build your identity around it. You let those voices become your inner dialogue. But here's the truth. Just because a belief feels familiar doesn't make it true. Just because you've carried it for years doesn't mean it belongs with you. And here's the dangerous part. Beliefs shape behavior. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll hesitate. If you believe success is for other people, you'll settle. If you believe love always ends in pain, you'll sabotage connection. Your life bends to the beliefs you carry. It doesn't matter how much potential you have. If the belief is broken, the pattern is stuck. And it's not just the obvious one. Some of the most dangerous beliefs are subtle, sneaky. You might think, I have to be perfect to be valuable. Or if I slow down, I'll fall behind. Or even if I succeed too much, people won't like me. These are the quiet thoughts that run the show behind the scenes. And they're not based on truth. They're based on survival. Somewhere in your past, your brain made a decision to protect you, and it locked in that belief like a shield. But you're not that person anymore. You're not in that moment anymore. And what protected you then is now the very thing that's blocking you from growing. So you've got a choice. You can keep living from those old beliefs, or you can challenge them. You can say, wait a second, what if that's not true anymore? Because once you interrupt a belief, once you question it, shake it, break it, it loses its grip on you. And once you replace it with something empowering, something aligned with who you really are, everything begins to shift. Your thoughts change, your emotions change, your actions change, and eventually your life catches up. You don't need to become someone new. You just need to stop believing the lies about who you are. Let's talk about fear, because this is where most people stop before they ever start. They say, I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of not being good enough. But here's the real deal. Fear doesn't live in your present. Fear lives in your future. It's not what's happening. It's what you think might happen. And that fear, it's not based on reality. It's based on imagination. Your brain is a survival machine. It's built to scan for danger. It doesn't care if the threat is real or imagined. It just wants to keep you safe. So what does it do? It creates pictures, images, worst case scenarios, and then you believe them. You don't challenge them. You treat those images like prophecy. You see yourself failing, losing, getting hurt, and then you hold back. You call it wisdom. You call it caution. But most of the time, it's just fear running the show. And fear is clever. It doesn't always show up as panic or terror. Sometimes it disguises itself as logic. It tells you now isn't the right time, or you should get more experience first, or you just need to figure it all out before you begin. That's fear in disguise. That's your mind trying to protect you from discomfort. But let me ask you this. How many times has that voice held you back from something that could have changed your life? You got to understand something. Fear doesn't go away. You don't wait until you're fearless to take the leap. You move through the fear, you feel it, and you take action anyway. Because the fear you don't face becomes the boundary of your life. And every time you let it win, it grows. It starts to govern your decisions. It starts to shape your identity. And before long, you're not living, you're managing, you're shrinking, you're surviving. But when you face it, when you step into the thing your mind is trying to run from, everything starts to shift. You realize it's not as big as you thought. It's not as real as it felt. Because most fear is just an echo from your past or a projection of your imagination. It has no power unless you give it power. And once you start pushing through it, even in small ways, your brain begins to rewire. You build evidence that you're capable. You build momentum. And that's when confidence is born, not from being perfect, but from facing what once scared you and realizing you didn't die. You didn't fall apart. You got stronger. So if you're waiting for the fear to disappear before you take the step, you'll be waiting your whole life. But if you can learn to lean into it, to breathe through it, to move with it, that's when freedom begins. because the door to your next level is almost always guarded by the fear your mind created. Let's bring it right down to the core. Your emotions are the fuel behind everything you do, and those emotions are driven by one thing, your thoughts. You don't act based on facts, you act based on how you feel about the facts. And how you feel is shaped by the story running through your mind in any given moment. Think about it. You could have the same situation, same opportunity, same challenge, but depending on what you are thinking in that moment, your state changes. One moment you're fired up and ready to charge forward. The next, doubt creeps in and suddenly you're frozen. It's not the world that shifted, it's your internal dialogue. And that inner conversation is what sets the emotional tone. Your thoughts dictate your emotional state, and your emotional state determines your behavior. That's the chain, that's the cycle. You ever wonder why two people with the same skills, the same resources, even the same background can produce totally different results? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's state. One person learns how to shift their mindset and elevate their emotional energy on demand. The other gets trapped in thought patterns that keep them stuck in hesitation, fear, or frustration. One acts with certainty, the other overthinks and misses the moment. So if you want to change your life, you've got to learn how to interrupt the thought patterns that are dragging you down emotionally. You got to catch them in the act. Those moments when your mind starts telling you, what if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if they judge me? And shift them into something empowering. You can't let your emotions be dictated by a mind running on autopilot. You've got to take the wheel. And I'm not talking about pretending to be happy or positive when you're not. This isn't about fake motivation. This is about creating alignment between your thinking and your mission. When your thoughts support your vision, your emotions come alive. And when your emotions are on fire, your actions are unstoppable. You ever have a moment where everything just clicked? You weren't thinking too much. You weren't doubting. You were just in it. Clear, focused, powerful. That didn't happen by accident. You stepped into a peak state because your thoughts lined up with your purpose. You gave yourself permission to play full out and the energy followed. But too many people wait to feel good before they move. They wait for motivation. They wait to feel ready. Let me tell you, if you wait to feel ready, you'll wait forever. You don't wait for the state. You create the state. You do it through what you focus on. You do it through what you say to yourself. You do it by conditioning your mind to work for you, not against you. Because when your mind is aligned with your mission and your state is aligned with your actions, momentum becomes automatic. Look around your life right now. Your relationships, your career, your health, your finances, every part of it is a reflection of what you've been consistently thinking. Not what you've wanted, not what you've hoped for, but what you've believed, what you've allowed to live in your mind day in and day out. Because the quality of your life will never exceed the quality of your thoughts. Most people are walking through life with a mind that's working against them. They've got dreams, goals, visions, but the internal dialogue is filled with doubt, criticism, fear, hesitation, and they wonder why they can't gain momentum. They wonder why things feel so hard. It's not that the dream is too big, it's that the thinking is too small. You can't plant weeds and expect roses. If the thoughts in your mind are negative, limiting, toxic, you're going to feel stuck no matter how hard you work. What happens in your head is what eventually happens in your life. Think about it. When you constantly tell yourself you're not ready, you don't take action. When you focus on what could go wrong, you play it safe. When you believe you're not worthy, you settle for less. So it's not the outside world that's limiting you. It's the conversation inside. That's the origin point. That's the root. And here's the kicker. Most people don't even realize it's happening. They think it's just being realistic. They think it's just their personality or how they were raised or what life dealt them. But that's just another thought, another story, another layer of conditioning that was never questioned. You're not stuck because of your circumstances. You're stuck because your thoughts told you that's all you can expect. But when you start to shift the way you think, consistently, deliberately, everything begins to transform. Not instantly, but inevitably. When your thoughts start saying, I've got this. I can grow through this. This is possible for me. Your emotions rise, your energy rises, your actions shift, and then life starts to mirror that new level of belief. And I don't mean just repeating affirmations in the mirror. I mean rewiring the narrative that runs your life. I mean catching those low-level thoughts and saying, no, not anymore. I mean choosing to feed your mind every single day with something that builds you, challenges you, elevates you, because if you don't intentionally program your mind, the world will do it for you, and you won't like the results. You want a better life? Start by building a better mindset. You want breakthroughs? Start by breaking down the thinking that's been holding you back. Because when you change the root, the fruit changes. When you raise the quality of your thoughts, the quality of your life can't help but rise with it. Here's the truth. Most people never get to here. Possibility is not something you chase. It's something you clear the way for. It's already there. Right now, in this moment, all around you. The problem is your mind is so full of noise, so packed with doubt, fear, stories, and overthinking that you can't see it. You don't need to force a breakthrough. You just need to remove what's blocking it. And what's blocking it isn't the world. It's not your boss. It's not your past. It's not even your lack of resources. What's blocking it is you. It's the walls you've built inside your own head. It's the stories you've been carrying for so long, you've forgotten they were even optional. It's the pressure to have everything figured out, the need to control every outcome, the hesitation that creeps in every time you feel that pull to step up. That's what's in the way. The irony is, the more you try to force life to bend to your fear, the more resistance you create. You start thinking small, playing safe, micromanaging every move, and you cut off the flow of opportunity. You're not stuck because life is holding back. You're stuck because your mind won't let go. The most powerful shifts happen not when you grind harder, but when you release what's no longer serving you. You want clarity? You got to silence the noise. You want to move fast? You've got to let go of the mental weight you're dragging behind you. And it's not about adding more. It's about removing what's unnecessary. You've got ideas. You've got instincts. You've got that inner voice that knows exactly where you're supposed to go next. But it's hard to hear it when your mind is crowded with fear and self-doubt. And it's not about becoming someone else. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You don't need to become superhuman. You just need to get back to what's real. Strip away the lies. Peel back the excuses. Let go of the attachment to how it should happen and get present with what's possible right now. You'll be shocked at how much opens up when you stop trying to force life and start trusting yourself. That's when momentum kicks in. That's when synchronicity happens. That's when you make a decision from your gut, take a bold step, and something clicks. But that can't happen if you're stuck in your head, analyzing everything, waiting for the stars to align. You don't need more certainty. You need less resistance. You don't need more proof. You need more trust. Because the life you want isn't hiding. It's just waiting for you to drop the mental weight and move. And when you finally do that, when you stop fighting your own mind, you don't just unlock possibility, you become it.